Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're checking out the Radeon 9000. It launched in mid-2002, shortly after the Radeon 9700 Pro. Now usually a 9000 series card indicates that this is a DirectX 9 compatible video card, but the Radeon 9000 is only compatible with DirectX 8.1. This video card was sent to us by Electromine. Check the details down below in the description. There's also a 20% discount coupon that you can use. The Radeon 9000 has the RV250 GPU, which is the value version of the R250 GPU, which can be found on the Radeon 8500. It is manufactured on the 150nm process and it has 36 million transistors. There are two versions of the Radeon 9000. There's the regular one and the Pro, and they only differ in terms of clock speeds. The version we have is from Sapphire. It has a GPU clock speed of 250 MHz and the RAM runs at 200 MHz with an effective clock speed of 400 because it is DDR memory and it's got a 128-bit memory interface. The actual memory chips are actually rated at 500 MHz effective memory clock speed, so there should be a bit of headroom for overclocking, and we will take a quick look at that later in the video. The GPU has 4 pixel shaders, 1 vertex shader, 4 texture mapping units and 4 render output units. We have 64 megabytes of VRAM, and in terms of connectors we've got a VGA but no DVI, but there's a lot of TV out and TV in going on with inputs and outputs for composite video as well as for S video. There's also the typical yellow front panel connector that a lot of the Radeon machines had, and it would connect to a front panel device at the front of the case, allowing you to plug in your camcorder for easy capturing. I couldn't find any tech demos specifically for the Radeon 9000, so we got a few tech demos from the Radeon 8500 as well as 7500 running in the background. Everything runs at 1024 by 768. So let's take a look at some benchmarks and see how this card stacks up. And the first benchmark we're looking at is 3D Mark 2000. We've got a couple of GeForce cards. We've got the GeForce 2 GTS and the Ultra, the GeForce 3 and the 3 Ti 500, and we've got 3 Radeon cards, the 7500, 8500, and of course the card we're looking at in this video, the Radeon 9000. So in 3D Mark 2000 Max, we can see that the Radeon 9000 is ahead of the 7500, but the 8500 is still quite ahead. And in terms of the NVIDIA competition here, it is ahead of the GeForce 2 GTS. In 2001, we're getting a similar picture with the 9000 being closer to the 7500 than the 8500. And here it is able to be ahead of the GeForce 2 Ultra. In Expandable at 1920 by 1080, 80 FPS, so that game is really playable, and it is in between the GeForce 2 Ultra and the GeForce 3. In Draken, we can see a similar picture. However, here it performs much closer to the 8500 and it outperforms all the NVIDIA cards. So this is a game that runs really well on the ATI Radeon cards. The next game we have is Evolver. This is a more demanding game, 1280 by 1024, and it is basically on the level of a GeForce 3, which is quite impressive. In Quake 3, we're getting 65 FPS at 1920 by 1080. This is a game where the NVIDIA cards are traditionally stronger because it is based on OpenGL. The next game is also OpenGL based, MDK2 at 920 by 1080. We're getting 68 FPS, so it's a little bit faster than the Radeon 7500, but the 8500 is a lot faster, and comparing it with NVIDIA, it's ahead of the GeForce 2 Ultra, but behind the GeForce 3. And the last game we're looking at is Return to Castle Wolfenstein at 1280 by 1024. We're getting 43 FPS, so this game is a little bit too demanding for this graphics card. And here we have some power draw results. These are for the entire system at the power supply. Under idle, sitting on a desktop, we're getting 63 watts. And under load, the peak power draw running 3D Mark 2001 SE, we're getting 105 watts. So it performs somewhere in between the Radeon 7500 and 8500, but usually much closer to the 7500. Compared to the Radeon 7500, however, this card is DirectX 8.1 compatible, so a lot more games will run on this card. Older games like Draken or Expandable run really well on this video card, even at 1080p. Games that are a little bit more modern like Evolver or Return to Castle Wolfenstein, they do run, but you have to dial down the resolution, so I would likely use a different video card for those kind of games. The card being passive is a highlight for me. I know many of you like to build a quiet retro gaming PC, so it's always worth considering how much noise a card makes. The TV input and output features can also be of interest for capturing footage of old game consoles or home computers, for example. Now, coming back to the overclocking of the memory, the chips on this card are rated for 250 MHz, but the card couldn't take it, and we're getting massive display corruption here in 3D Mark. Combined with the passive cooling, it is clear that this card is not a decent overclocker compared to some of the other cards that we checked out recently. I will try to get the faster 9000 Pro for a future video to see how it compares, but all in all, the Radeon 9000 is not a bad card. If you play the right games on it, you should be pretty happy. And that's it for this video, guys. Big thank you to Electromind for sending us this card. Check out the details down below in the description if you're interested. And the usual YouTube stuff, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit the like or the dislike button, leave me a comment down below and share the video with your friends. And that's it. I shall see you soon with another one.